forget, expressions are a lot like equations, except they don't have an equal sign and they can't be solved. So, get ready, get set, go! Why are you still here? Go! Come on, do some work.
Welcome back to YouTube with Lubelski. We're going to be focusing on simplifying linear expressions, and what that means is I am actually going to be combining like terms is the most common way that we say that. So for combining like terms in the expression, we can't solve because there is no equal sign at the end of this. So because there's no equal sign, we are simply just combining anything that can be. Now, when you combine like terms, you add together terms that have the same variable or no variable, which is a constant. So I've taught my kids before, we call this the shape it up method. So I'm going to identify all the different terms in number one. And in number one, I've got x's, and then I have things that have just numbers. Those are called constants because they're not being multiplied or divided or manipulated in any way. And so I have two different terms. So I'm going to use a box for my x terms. And I want to make sure that I keep the negative sign with that negative 8x, because that's not just minus 8x, except it is actually negative 8x. And then for my numbers that don't have a variable, I'm going to use a circle, and I am going to include that plus sign because that plus sign means that it's positive. Now this 10x right here, it has an invisible positive sign in front of it. If there is no sign, then it's automatically positive. So now I'm going to combine my like terms, and combining just means that we're going to add them together. So in your calculator, because that's a great resource to use, we're going to add the coefficients. So for this, it's 10 and negative 8. So in your calculator, if you put 10 plus negative 8, you end up with 2, and then we keep our x variable with it. So I have 2 x's left. Plus, then I look at my other 2. 2 plus 10 is 12. So here is my final answer. I just combined all the terms. I can't combine 2x and 12 because 2x has a variable of x and the number 12 does not have that variable. So they don't look like each other, so I can't combine them. Number 2, I've got one extra step here, and that's the distributive property. I have 2 times everything inside the parentheses. Now, because that a is a variable, I don't know what it is, so I'm going to multiply 2 times 3 is 6, and I'm going to drop it down. Plus, I'm going to drop down my addition sign. 2 times a is 2a, 2 times a, because we don't know what the a is. And then I'm going to drop everything else down. Here's my addition, 7 plus, and my 3a. I'm just going to drop everything down. The reason I do that is I want to get everything as distributed as possible before I start combining. So again, I'm going to put a square or a box around anything that has my variable a in it. And then my constants are plus 7 and plus 6. Now we're going to combine. So if I have 3 a's and 2 a's, altogether I have 5a, plus if I have 7 and 6, and they're both positive, I have altogether 13, which is my constant. So there's my final answer. Question number 3, we have another distributive property. It means we have to pass it out. If you were in my class in 7th grade, you probably heard me call it Let's Be Like Oprah, because Oprah likes to give out cars. So I'm going to take my car, which is the number 3, and I'm going to say, you get a car, and you get a car. So that means 3 times m is 3m, minus, I'm going to drop that down, 3 times 5 is 15. And then I'm just going to go ahead and drop down my plus m. Now that I have everything distributed, I'm going to shape it up. So 3m and this is actually a positive 1m, so I put the 1 in front of it so I didn't forget about that. And I always sing the song, you gotta shape it up when I'm doing this, because it just helps me remember that I can put shapes around it before I combine them. So I'm gonna do 3m's plus 1m gives me a total of 4m's. And then that negative 15 is just minus 15, and I'm done because there's nothing else to combine that with. Number 4, there's no distributive property. It's just a bunch of terms. So I'm gonna shape it up. And so when I do this, I'm gonna put a box around my S terms. And remember that you wanna include that sign in front of it, because that's not just a minus sign, that's actually a negative. So I've got positive 3s I'm going to put a box around. And now I'm going to circle all of my constants. So 10, negative 8, and negative 7. All right, 2s minus 7s, or negative 7s, and 3s in my calculator. I'm going to type 2 plus negative 7 plus positive 3. So that ends up being negative 2s. And then I'm going to do 10 plus negative 8 plus negative 7, and that gives me a negative 5. So I'm going to add those two terms together for my final answer. You can also write this as negative 2s minus 5. And with the addition, the commutative property of addition tells me I can flop these, so I could write negative 5 plus negative 2s. And then I can also rewrite that as keep, change, negative 5 minus 2s. So there are actually 4 different ways that you can write this. So you always want to make sure that you know how to do keep, change, and turn them into different expressions, because some of the questions on the test might ask you which one of these are equivalent, and you have to be able to check those answers. So I'm going to do one last problem. I am going to go ahead and I am going to do problem number 10 with you, because 10 is more of a challenge problem because it actually has 3 terms inside those parentheses. So again, we're going to do the distributive property. So here's my card. Oprah's going to pass it out. So you get a card. 8 times 2 is 16k plus, I drop that down, 8 times 1 is 8 plus 8 times 3 is 24, and I keep my k. So everything's been distributed, so now I'm going to shape it up. 16k combined with 24k gives me a total of 40k. And then my plus 8 can't be combined with anything, so I write that down. So please take a minute to pause the video, and I would like you to complete questions 5 through 9, and then 11 and 12. And you can check back in a minute when you're finished to check your answers. All right, for answers, we have 5 is 6c plus 1. Number 6 is 5z minus 1. Number 7, 20y minus 25. Number 8 is 4d plus 14. Number 9 is 10n minus 2. Number 10, we got 40k plus 8. Number 11 is 8b plus 5. And number 12, 22p minus 9. Hopefully you were able to do that successfully. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me if I'm your teacher. If not, please make sure to ask someone that can help you clarify any misconceptions or any issues that you may have had.
Get it? Got it? Good. Hey, get it? Got it? Good. What? Get it? Got it? Good. Hey, I'm so proud of you. I hope you know how to simplify it, because remember, you gotta shape it up.